We have seen mace grabbers wrestled until they surrender to the dictates of the rule of law through friendship and brotherhood. We've witnessed the transformation of those who struggle to move mere motions to eloquent debaters, and to crown it all, those who, at inception, did not understand themselves working together in spite of whatever differences for the national good. This is the spirit that defines us as legislatures, the institute of the legislature, and I'm happy we embrace it fully. As we take the final bow on the 9th of June, I take pride in our corporate accomplishment in these 4 epochal years in the governance annals of our country. With our collective efforts and commitment, we have deepened and grown democracy with the passage of a total of 382 bills, 76 of which have been assented to by the President. We surpassed the record of the Houses of Representatives that preceded us. Ironically, the 8th National Assembly also holds the record as the most persecuted and harassed parliament ever in Nigeria's history. Some of our members bear the scars of reckless deployment of institutional prerogatives. We witnessed sieges and invasion by state operatives. Some members suffered witch hunts, house arrests, and false accusations. We are also witnesses to barrage of uncharitable criticisms and assessment banded on a daily basis in the media by hired mercenaries who masquerade as analysts. Most of these analysts are ignorant of the fact that the parliament was not designed to be an altar of praise for the executive, but a co-equal branch to serve as a check on executive power. The job of parliaments all over the world is to escalate constructive conflict. It is our job to search for the truth, and without the clash and compromise of ideas, the truth can never be found. Everything loses its meaning in the absence of the truth. Anyone who sees disagreement or conflict as inherently bad has no business leading a democracy, because we are not likely to ever see any healthy democracy that is not productively noisy. This House, and indeed the legislature, must always engage in debates about both pleasant and unpleasant issues if we must continue to do the work of democracy. Progress ceases the very day we cease to disagree. Every invention, every innovation has always come from someone who disagreed with the status quo. That is why the Athenian lawmaker, Solon, undoubtedly one of those who cradle democracy as we now know, once decreed a crime for citizens to shrink from controversy. No parliament anywhere can win a popularity contest, and parliaments are not meant to receive praise. Any parliament that receives praise, especially from the executive, must be an assemblage of enablers who have abandoned fidelity to their oath of office. To the chagrin of some, I'm happy that this assembly, just like others before it, did not allow partisanship to erode our system of checks and balances. My fulfillment as leader in this assembly stems from the fact that, bolstered by the spirit of patriotism and nationalism, we were able to sustain the legacies of previous parliaments by ensuring that this great institution was not compromised or exploited. We may not have achieved our legislative agenda 100%, but I have no doubt that posterity and history will acknowledge that in the 8th House of Representatives we did our best, given the circumstances and the very toxic environment under which we operated. Honorable colleagues, as we draw the curtains on the 8th Assembly today, I am as concerned about the future of our dear country as I was the very day I delivered my inaugural address almost 4 years ago. I worry daily about the alarming rate of insecurity across the country. It appears we are losing the fight against violence. And if this is not bad enough, the situation is so dire that non-statesmen are becoming petrified and speaking up in ways that may further rend our national fault lines. It is like we refuse to hear the whispers, and now the screams are threatening our eardrums. This is a national problem that we can only solve if we pull ourselves together and not apart, regardless of political persuasions or creed. The challenge is to get the leadership that throws out politics and partisanship out of the window. Leadership that reins in all our best human and material resources to confront these menacing challenges. Yet instead of uniting to confront this very danger, all one hears are summons of divisiveness and permutations for 2023 elections. I wonder daily if this is not how the bottom looks like. This is a time that all of us elected or appointed to positions of authority should soberly reflect on the deteriorating welfare of our hapless citizens and to live up to the biddings of our officers and the oaths we took, so that our people can yet hope again and begin to rebuild their shattered lives. Honorable colleagues, in spite of all my worries about the Project Nigeria, my optimism about our future remains undiminished. I said before, and I now repeat it, that I hold no fears for the future because we are limited only by leadership and our vision, not by our resources. We shall overcome by the grace of God. No matter how long the night may last, the day will break. I have no doubt that our salvation will break out as sudden as the dawn appears. Scripture says, and I quote, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning." Dear colleagues and leaders of this country, let us all unite in walking to hasten this glorious morning. At this juncture, permit me to extend to all our members who are not returning to the Ninth Assembly my best wishes in their personal and political endeavors. I hope that we will all continue to be in touch. I'll continue to cherish the glowing memories of our colleagues who pass on in the course of the 8th National Assembly. May their souls continue to rest in eternal peace. Let me acknowledge the fact that I, and perhaps many of us, may have made one mistake or another, or caused offense among ourselves these 4 years. This is expected since we are human. None of us is perfect. Perfection is only the attribute of divinity, and none of us is divine. May I therefore implore everyone that I may have wronged to forgive such wrongs. On my part, I hold no grudges against anyone, and I plead with everyone here to forgive his brothers and sisters. Let us all live here today without any resentment or bitterness in our hearts. In closing, I want to charge the members-elect of the Ninth Assembly to be determined to raise the bar of the records of the 8th National Assembly. One sour point that is a most cure in our democracy is the issue of flout elections. We must ensure the conclusion of the ongoing legislative processes on electoral reforms in a way that will make electoral fraud near impossible. If we are to enjoy true democracy, this has to be done. We may have done much, honorable colleagues, but the work of democracy still remains undone. I thank you all most immensely once again for your cherished cooperation and understanding with me and the leadership of the House throughout our tenure.